Well, welcome everyone. Thank you all for attending. Good afternoon. For those of you that are joining us from across the country, we are glad you are here. Today's webinar, Scaling Your Business Through Minority Certification. So if you are looking for opportunities to grow your business, to learn about the certification process, and learn about how you could supply to corporations, you're in the right webinar. And whether you're joining us live or you'll be watching this recording, I guarantee you that the next 75 minutes will be time well spent. This is the County Sheriff's Office Division of Emergency Management. My name is Jennifer Garcia, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Latino Business Action Network, also known as LBAN. So in the event that you are joining us for the first time, allow me to take a moment to introduce LBAN. We are a nonprofit that partners with Stanford University to advance Latino entrepreneurs across the country. How do we do that? We conduct research on Latino businesses to understand how we can advocate for them and how we can best support their growth and scale. Secondly, we facilitate a business scaling program at Stanford Graduate School of Business. This program is designed for Latino businesses that are headquartered in the United States and that have $1 million in annual revenue or greater, or $500,000 in external funding. So we'll put some information in the chat about that, and we'd love for you to consider our business scaling program. Thirdly, we cultivate an ecosystem of Latino-owned businesses. We collaborate with the network of mentors, with the network of capital providers and strategic partners to bring not only access to education, but access to resources, capital, and contracts. I invite all of you to visit our website to learn more about our programs and follow us on social media so that you could stay abreast of programming such as today's webinar and much more. So let me just take a moment and talk about why we're here today, the opportunity with corporate contracting. In the wake of the murder of George Floyd, we saw an increased focus from corporations who began to assess their role in contributing to the racial and economic equality. And as a result, what that created was a lot of corporations committing to supplier diversity, a lot of creation of supplier diversity, and many organizations who either pledged to increase their spending with diverse-owned businesses or to begin spending with diverse-owned businesses. However, there are a few companies whose commitment preceded this social movement, and JPMorgan Chase is one of those companies. For me, I've had the opportunity to work with many team members, and it's evident that their supplier diversity program has top-level leadership support, and that their supplier diversity program is really a leading program in the industry. In addition, it's been great to see and to learn about complementary programs that JPMorgan has created to not only provide opportunities, but to support the growth of small businesses and diverse-owned businesses. For us at LBAN, JPMorgan Chase is a growing partner, and I send my sincere appreciation to the entire team who's helped make this webinar productive, this conversation really come to life today. So thank you to all of you that have been involved in that. And I want to give a moment to invite Will Jaramillo to share a few words. Will is the head of community development and financial health and wealth creation. So Will, I welcome you to the stage and pass the mic to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for that, Jennifer. Quick mic check. I don't know if give me a thumbs up. Everybody can hear me. Good. All right, I see the thumbs up. All right, well, I mean, listen, I feel like I have the coolest job at JPMorgan Chase because I get to work in our newly formed diversity, equity, and inclusion office, specifically focused on the Latino segment. And it's actually called Advancing Hispanics and Latinos. So what do we do? You know, how do we level the playing field? How do we create equity in a world for entrepreneurs, consumers, even employees at JPMorgan Chase? so that we create an environment where Latinos grow and thrive. And so it's kind of been my career-long culmination to be here and lead our community development efforts, as well as financial health and wealth creation, because we know that the pathways to wealth creation are access to resources, access to capital, entrepreneurship. And we really want to be able to partner with all of you and organizations such as LBAN, who are doing such amazing work in the community, to really drive equal opportunities for all entrepreneurs. But specifically, I wake up every day and I look at it through the Latino segment. A little bit about me. I am a first-generation born Cuban immigrant. My family came here in the 70s. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. Small business owner, like many people start, right? So definitely, I wish I would have known a little bit about the things I know now. Although I don't think Arnie's Trucking would have made it to become a diverse supplier at one point. But it is the journey of many of us that have come to this country in search of those greater opportunities. So for me, this is something personal. So it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I hope you enjoy the conversation and really understand how the programs that we have at JPMorgan Chase align with LBAN, how the reimbursement, you're going to learn about reimbursement programs that are here to help support you on your journey to become certified as minority entrepreneurs, so that you can start to position yourself as best you can to qualify for those supplier opportunities. All right. So with that being said, I'll kick it over to Shalena, our friends at NMSDC, and we thank them very much for helping us guide this conversation today.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, thumbs up if everyone can see my screen okay. Yes, all right, perfect. All right. My name is Shalena Williams. I am the Certification Manager in Field Services for the National Minority Supplier Development Council, NMSDC, handling the certification policies and procedures for the National Council and across the 23 regional councils. So NMSDC just recently celebrated 50 years of service and impact just in October. We have been around for 50 years, making an impact in communities across the nation. We have 15,000 plus certified MBEs, 1,500 corporate members, and 23 regional councils across the nation that actually administer the certification and processes the certification applications. We have 5 international global partners and an extensive number of NGO and government partnerships. Our MBEs are making a difference and an impact in the economy with 400+ billion in economic output and 48 billion generated in tax revenue. They are also making an impact in the communities with by generating 2.2 million jobs. Now, once you are certified by one of the regional councils, they'll actually welcome you to the council and provide you with a list of all of the different certification benefits and all the different programs that are offered to you as a certified MBE of that council. You'll get access to educational programs, access to capital, and then also access to procurement opportunities. So there's someone there at the regional council that's in charge of sourcing. So a corporate member may contact them and need some information or a list of certified MBEs in a specific industry. They'll be able to provide your information to the corporate member and also blast out information to the certified MBEs when they're made aware of upcoming contracting opportunities. You'll also have invitations to local and national matchmaking and networking events as a certified MBE. Now, the criteria for becoming certified with NMSDC, the company must be 51% managed, owned, and controlled by an ethnic minority who is a US citizen. So not only does the company have to be owned by that ethnic minority or a number of ethnic minorities whose combined ownership percentage equals that 51%, the company must also be managed and controlled by those ethnic minorities. Now, the certification process is detailed here on your screen, but each of our regional councils actually host a pre-certification webinar online. Well, they will go over the certification application, they'll go over the process, they'll talk to you about the processing time, so that way you're well aware of about how much time it's going to take you to get through the certification process. They'll walk you through the documentation, so that way you have a clear understanding of what is expected and what to expect when you start the certification application. Now, to start this, you would go online because the certification application is completely online. So you want to make sure all your documents and stuff you have readily available on the computer. That way, when you start the application, you just kind of drag and drop and upload the information instead of having to kind of stop, go find the document, scan it in, upload it to the application. So we definitely encourage everyone to already have those documents ready before you start the application. So like I said, you'll start the application, upload the required documentation for certification, and then you would pay the application fee and submit the application online. Once it's submitted, the regional council will perform a desk audit and they will review the application and supporting documents, and they'll also contact the customer references that you provided on the application. Once that has been completed, they'll then conduct the site visit, either in person or virtually. They'll reach out to you ahead of time and inform you of the type of site visit that will be conducted. Once the site visit is conducted, they'll then prepare your file to go before the Certification Compliance Committee. They'll then review the application and documentation and make a recommendation to the Board of Directors for either approval or denial of the certification application. At that time, it's then reviewed by the Board of Directors, and the notification of approval or denial is then sent to the applicant from the Regional Council. Now, like I said, the regional councils all do pre-certification webinars. Well, they will walk you through each of the documents that are required for certification. So that way you have a clear understanding of what the document is and what's needed to have a complete application. So here on the screen, you will see a list of the documents that are required for all businesses. So every business will provide a list of, will provide general documents, and then corporations, LLCs, partnerships will provide a few additional documents, a few additional corporate documents. Now, just to touch on a few, you will provide us with, of course, the completed application, a copy of a driver's license, proof of US citizenship, which would be your US passport or a long form birth certificate, driver's license or voter registration card, or your naturalization certificate. For proof of ethnicity, you'll provide us with a copy of a foreign passport or a long form birth certificate, or in the case, excuse me, in the case that your ethnicity is not indicated on your birth certificate, you can provide us with the birth or death certificate of a parent or a child where ethnicity is indicated. Excuse me, just a few additional general documents that we would request are the tax returns for the company and also your financial statements for the company. Excuse me. So for partnerships, in addition to the general document that we just discussed, you'll provide us with your partnership agreements and third-party agreements and certificate of limited partnership. So you'll just give us those additional corporate documents that you have. Now, in the case that your partner is a company, then you would provide us with, of course, those additional corporate documents for that specific company. For LLCs, you will provide the general documentation that we discussed, and then your corporate documentation, which would be your certificate of organization, your operating agreement, your minutes, and copies of your membership unit certificates if your company has issued membership unit certificates. Now, for corporations, you will also provide the general list of documentation that all applicants must provide, in addition to your corporate documentation, which would be your certificate of corporation, your bylaws, proof of capital investment, and copies of your minutes. In the case, also, you will provide us with your company's stock certificates. Now, for companies who have a complex business structure where maybe your company is part owned by another company, the certification staffer will then speak to you and request additional documents for that specific company, which are going to be your corporate documents for that company. So in partnership with Chase, we have created the Certification Reimbursement Initiative. This was created to remove that barrier of cost for certification for applicants. Now, to be eligible for the Chase Reimbursement Initiative, the company must be in business for at least 2 years, must be Hispanic owned, and must have at least 100,000 in annual revenue sales. So this reimbursement will cover your initial certification application fee. Now, to apply for this reimbursement program, you would simply just visit our reimbursement website, which is reimbursement.nmsdc. You'll click on JPMorgan Chase at the top of the screen, and then you'll just go to the bottom of that page and submit the Chase submission form. Once received by our office, we'll review the information to ensure that you meet the requirements for the program, and then we will send you an email letting you know you're approved for the certification reimbursement program. Here are the steps to start the certification process, and then we'll even send you the contact information for the certification staffer at the regional council that you would be applying for certification with. So we're going to connect you to that regional council. We'll even also, like I said, introduce you and inform you of the certification staffer that will actually be processing the application. Now, the certification reimbursement will only be granted upon approval of your certification. So unfortunately, if your certification is denied or you do not complete the process, then that certification application fee is not reimbursed. But once you are informed of your approval of the being selected for the reimbursement program, you'll be provided with steps on how to be reimbursed once you are approved for certification. Once you're approved, you're simply just provide us with these 3 documents. That's going to be a copy of the invoice and receipt that you received from the system when you paid your fee, a copy of your new certificate, providing proof that you are newly MBE certified, and then also a copy of your company's invoice if you'd like to be reimbursed via check, or a copy of the completed ACH form that you'll receive with your introduction email for direct deposit. Now, please note that for reimbursement, for check reimbursement, it'll take about 3 weeks, and for the ACH direct deposit, it'll take about a week for processing. All right, now I'm getting down to just about the end of the presentation, the certification fee. So here are the fees based off of your revenue sales. The fees will vary based off of, will vary depending on the regional council. So each regional council fees may vary a little bit, but here is the breakdown of the fee structure. For those applicants whose revenue sales are between 0 to 1 million, the fee range could be between 150 to 600. For those whose revenue sales are between 1 and 10 million, the fee can be between 300 and 750. For those 10 million to 50 million, the fee can be 350 to 1,050. And then for those who revenue sales are over 50 million, that application fee could range between 350 to 1,500. Once again, do not let the fee deter you from applying for certification, because we do have the Certification Reimbursement Initiative, which was created to assist you with the application fee and remove that as a barrier for applying for certification. Right, so that's all the information that I have for you today. I hope that you received some good information that gave you some encouragement to apply for certification and made you more well-informed of certification, what's required to become certified, and also about how to apply for that certification reimbursement initiative. Here you'll have my contact information. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email and I'll be happy to assist you with your question.
Wonderful, Shalana. Thank you so much. That was extremely informative. We have 372 registrants for this webinar. 66% of those are not yet certified. So as you can imagine, there's lots of questions for you. So this is what I'd like to do. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. We are aggregating them in the chat and we will address as many questions as possible. For those of you that are just recently joining us, Shalana is a representative from NMSDC and just spent several minutes discussing the certification process and as well as the reimbursement process. So if you missed that, you definitely want to catch the recording. But let's jump into a few questions, Shalana. We have questions about certification for U.S. citizens. So do legal residents qualify, as well as the proof, a birth certificate from Mexico? Is that sufficient documentation? Can you speak to the legal residents and
Yes.
Perhaps birth certificates from other countries?
Yes, so for the purpose of certification, the applicant must be a U.S. citizen. Now, the birth certificate, I believe you said the birth certificate from Mexico, that actually can be used for proof of ethnicity. But for the purpose of certification, the applicant must be a U.S. citizen. But like I said, that certificate, or excuse me, not the certificate, the birth certificate from Mexico can be used for proof of ethnicity.
Great, thank you. Now there's questions about the ownership, 50% ownership, 51% ownership. There are some companies, specifically tech companies, and I'm sure there's other scenarios as well that may have taken outside investment, so equity investment, where they are no longer 51% owners. So is there any exception to that? Any exception for companies that are maybe just 50% owner, or perhaps that have an equity investment that has that causes them to no longer be the majority owner?
So I believe there were two situations. You said one where the company is 51% minority owned.
So the question is, if they're no longer 51%,
okay.
So they might be 50%, or they may have taken an equity investment that has reduced their percentage of ownership.
Okay, yes. So unfortunately, for the purpose of certification, the company would have to be 51% managed, owned, and controlled by the ethnic minority or a number of ethnic minorities whose combined interest equals that 51%.
Okay,
so
and
yeah.
is there any discussion around for tech companies, VC backable companies that have equity investment?
So we do have a growth initiative certification that kind of meets more so that requirement. But in order to apply for that growth initiative certification, the company must first have been minority owned and certified by one of our regional councils. So the company would still have to meet that initial certification requirements. And then if the company had some change in ownership, they would be able to apply for the growth initiative certification. But unfortunately, like I said, for the initial certification, the company would have to meet that certification requirement of the 51% ownership. Okay,
great. Thank you for clarifying that. We have a couple questions around the JPMorgan Chase reimbursement process. The first question is, does this apply to other minority groups?
Yes, so for our certification reimbursement initiative, we actually have Chase and a few additional funders. So in the case where you're not quite sure if you meet the requirements for Chase, you can go to the reimbursement website and just complete the general inquiry form, and then we can see which program kind of fits your ownership and your need, and then we can assign you and then give you information regarding that reimbursement program. But the JPMorgan Chase reimbursement is for African Americans and for Hispanic. So,
Okay.
but like I said, if you don't meet those requirements, feel free to complete the general inquiry form on the main page, and then our team will take a look at it and we'll let you know, okay, hey, you don't qualify for this one, but hey, we can assign you to this specific funder's reimbursement program.
Okay. And then for companies that have already been certified, I'm assuming, or correct us if we're wrong, are they still eligible for the reimbursement process for a program?
So for the Chase program, they would not be eligible for a reimbursement. The Chase program only covers the initial certification fee. So those who are already certified, unfortunately, would not qualify for that specific funder's reimbursement program. But like I said, you can definitely fill out the information on the general inquiry form, and then we'll look at your information that you submitted on the form to see if you meet the criteria for an additional funder.
Great. And then perhaps if you could speak to the reimbursement process, is there other items that you look for in approval for reimbursement? What are things that they should be considering? Or does everyone who apply for reimbursement get approved?
So no, it's a fairly simple process. Once you are approved for certification with the regional council, like I said, you'll just provide us with those 3 documents. And once we verify the 3 documents, your payment, that you are now certified, and you've given us either the completed ACH form or the company invoice, your reimbursement is processed. So there's no additional process for reimbursement. You'll just provide us with those 3 documents, and then you'll be reimbursed.
Fantastic. And I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions here before we continue the discussion with a wider panel. The question here is, can you describe or explain a little bit more detail in terms of the regional agency certifications? There's a company or a member in the audience who indicates that they're already certified with South Central Texas Regional Certification Agency, several government certifications, HUB, SBE, DBE, etc. Shalana, can you maybe describe the difference between an NMSDC certification and some government certifications and the advantage of being certified by NMSDC?
Yes. So like you said, there is an alphabet soup of different certifications: MBE, DBE, SBE. So our certification is the MBE certification, which is more so a private sector certification for your major corporations. I like to tell people when they're trying to figure out which certification to apply for, it's all about your potential customer base. Who are you potentially trying to do business with? If you're interested in more governmental or city contracting, then you may apply for a city certification. If you're interested in doing business with major corporations, you would go more so in our direction, which would be the NMSDC certification. If you're interested in those who receive state funding, then you may apply for the State of Texas Hub certification. So it really all depends on your potential customer base and who you're trying to market towards. Now, what sets NMSDC above the rest is, in addition to the certification, we're providing you with different business development tools. So you're not just getting a piece of paper, you're getting the relationships that come along with being an MBE. You're getting the different programs that are offered at our regional councils. You're getting invited to the different networking and matchmaking events that we host. So it's more than just a certification with NMSDC. You receive a plethora of different business development tools when you're certified with us.
Great. Thank you, Shalena, for that. If there are additional questions, I invite you to put them in the chat. We'll have some time for more Q&A as we continue. But at this point, I want to invite a few other individuals to join us on the virtual stage. Representing a minority-owned business, let's welcome Federico Tagliani, who's the COO from Moss Global Consulting. I also want to invite Tracy Dennis. She is the VP of Business Development in the Global Supplier Diversity team at JPMorgan Chase. And finally, let's invite Brendan Morris, who is the VP of Senior Business Banking Consultant at JPMorgan. All right. Well, great to have you all. I want to expand this discussion with perspectives from all of you here. Let's go ahead and start first with Federico. I want to start with you. I know that Moss Global is already a certified minority-owned business as well as a women-owned business, and you have been successful in obtaining corporate contracts. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the certification and how that has played into you growing Moss Global.
Well, thanks for having me. The certification was really important. We obtained that certification of a minority-owned company in 2017. We were already a women-owned certified business. I don't know if it is correlated or not, but this year, for 5 years in a row, we were identified as one of the fastest growing companies in the States. So I could say that obtaining the certification was an extraordinary event in the life of our company. We are coming to our first decade next year. But let me reinforce a point in which I feel that the certification is an extraordinary component amongst the different variables that create a ticket to play, but it's not a ticket to win. So we were very active after the certification in all the environments provided regionally and nationally. And we looked for coaching, we offer coaching, we apply for awards, we try to be an active member of the community, just to on top of the certification.
I like what you said. It's a ticket to play, not a ticket to win. I myself am coming off the heels of the NMSDC National Conference, and one of my reflections from that is that you have to be present to get to build relationships with these different corporations, so that they get to know you and get to know your company and what you can offer and the solutions that you provide.
Moss Global Consulting. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Now, as Moss Global Consulting, it's the history of the company is totally intertwined with the history of our founder, Monica Hernandez. Monica is a Colombian woman. I'm from Argentina. I live in Brazil and Mexico too, in Texas since 2019. But Monica created this company because she grew up in a humble, low socioeconomic neighborhood in Medellin, in Colombia, and she obtained a full scholarship in one of the best schools, in the best colleges in Colombia, and became a software engineer. She moved to Texas and started working in the IT space in different places, but finally in Oracle. With Oracle, she had a extraordinary professional career, a global one, when she, almost 10 years ago, she created the company with a little baby in her hands. When her second child born, her husband left a promissory career in PepsiCo as an engineer to be a dad at home to take care of the children. And she started working since the very beginning in connection with large corporations.
Monica, if I could add to that, Monica is a graduate of the LBAN scaling program, and she is an absolutely fierce leader. So thank you for sharing a little bit about her story. As I mentioned, there's many people in this audience today that are not certified. So if they're learning about certification for the very first time, it could feel like a big step. Federico, I want to ask you, what would be one piece of advice that you would offer to these business owners who are learning about certification and the potential opportunity that comes with it?
I could say, let's do that, but let's take that in as a component of your strategy. So being a certified business alone is not enough. What you connect with a potential client, what is important is your story, it's your positioning, it's what we are doing. So for instance, we are a custom software development firm. We help our clients to build beautiful software pieces and performatic digital platforms. That's what we do. And we do that with excellence. So we can compete against the hyperscalers. So we aspire to work with the largest corporations. So in terms of the certification, again, let's try to use all the resources that the certifications give you. Let's do networking. Let's go after the opportunities. We are very grateful in terms of what we have obtained. We have here one of our best clients, JPMorgan Chase, but we invested after the certification more than 2 years to connect finally with specific opportunities with JPMorgan Chase. So my advice here is there's no free lunch and there's no instant value creation. So the purpose of your company, we have a foundation, for instance. So if you hire a digital squad, a complete team, we pay a full scholarship for college for a young talented lady. And every hire you have with us, we impact a specific person, and we'll share with you the name and the picture of that person. So
Federico, there's something that you said that I just want to underscore because I think it's important for the audience to hear this, is the advice that he would leave you of how you approach certification is to align it with your strategy. And I think that's important, right? Understanding who your target market is, who you want to do business with, and understanding how certification could align with that strategy. I appreciate you saying that because it's important for, as business owners are considering pursuing a certification, there's many factors that play into that. Tracy, I want to come to you. You are in the supplier diversity team at JPMorgan Chase. You get to see hundreds of business owners, probably at the NMSDC conference alone, not to mention all the other days of the year. Tell us a little bit about your role and the supplier diversity program at JPMorgan.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Jennifer, and great to be with you all on this virtual conversation today. I'm Tracy Dennis. I sit in our global supplier diversity team for JPMorgan as a VP and business development manager. So much of my role is really to help bring on new diverse firms that we haven't had a chance to connect with, get them more familiarized, as Federico mentioned, to connect with our key decision makers and spend leaders within the bank, and have a chance to not only hopefully get them onboarded as a new supplier, but once they are an active diverse vendor with us in our corporate supply chain, offer them key resources to continue to help their businesses develop, grow, and scale. We mentioned that Mas is one of our key diverse vendors who has gone through various different programs that we offer. When we think about really trying to increase the growth and reach and scale of diverse businesses, we start really what it looks like internally, how they can get connected with various different initiatives and resources that we know that we have within house, and then also that we have with external parties as well. Part of our supplier diversity program, overall, I don't know if we mentioned this earlier in the call, but JPMorgan Chase made a firm-wide commitment in 2020 to really enhance the key services we provide as a bank, as a community leader, as a lender, as a partner in the corporate space, to really help address issues of racial inequity. And so we made a $30 billion commitment over the next 5 years that includes access to capital, key different initiatives around investing in key small business owners, diverse communities and neighborhoods where we live and work and serve our clients and customers. And part of that $30 billion for the supplier diversity piece of that, we've ensured that over the next 5 years, we are being as thoughtful as we can to increase the spend with Latino, Hispanic, and Black-owned businesses in our corporate supply chain to $750 million over the next 5 years. Typically, we spend about $2 billion with diverse firms overall, and that's diverse firms of all stripes, so women-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned businesses. But we really want to make sure that we are, again, thinking through ways which we can really, truly prepare the best minority businesses to scale within our corporate supply chains, working with our top vendors and tier one providers that aren't diverse, ensuring that we are helping get them connected with other diverse businesses that they can help with their additional spend. If we are making this a large scale commitment as a firm, we want to make sure that the partners and the key businesses that we work with are also as dedicated and committed to racial equity as we are. And so we're helping give them tools to support their own different diverse programs for suppliers and supply chain. And we also look to ensure that, again, once you're part of the JPMorgan Chase family and community of partners, you have access to all the different areas you might need from our banking side of the house. And so I'm pleased to have my colleague Brandon on the line. I know we'll talk a bit more about the services we provide, where you need to get connected to different aspects of our banking teams, key areas which you can have additional consulting and support and coaching for a minority-owned business within Chase. And so those are some of the key areas we really try and focus on when we're looking to hopefully grow our pipeline of diverse vendors that we can hopefully work with more, and how they can continue to thrive and scale as they become a vendor and we become their customer as a client.
Thank you for sharing that, Tracy. There's a question that came through the chat that I think it would be absolutely wonderful to get your perspective on. Someone asked, in relation to Mass Global, is it more advantageous to be a woman-owned business or a minority-owned business? Can you talk about how you as an organization and a corporation view the two certifications, and does that play into the contracting decision?
So I would say for any different type of certification, and it's been said earlier, getting yourself certified as a diverse-owned business across all diverse stripes, whether it's women, minority, veteran, even LGBTQ, it's an additional area of resource and information that we know that we can hopefully continue to work and improve the opportunities to work and scale with as many different diverse vendors as possible. We want to work with business partners that are reflective of the communities and customers that we serve, and ensuring that we can get as many key leaders within those spaces supported and growing because of the work that we're doing is always going to be beneficial. So there's multiple intersectionality of how you can have different certifications. So there isn't really one that we say we prefer you at least have this one or that one. It really is going to be what's going to be best for you and your business, and how you think through, key customer acquisition and who you're working to kind of grow your business and scale with. We also look to kind of ensure that while there may not be the opportunity for you to have the certification now, what can we put you on a path to help support you to get certified in the best ways it's going to help fit with your business? And that's where a lot of our coaching and support and offerings and programs come into play, that the team that Brandon sits on within the firm. But ultimately, it's just an additional set of ways that we can hopefully showcase you as a vendor and a key leader in your space, and ensuring that we're hoping to tap into as many different key spaces that is reflective of the customers and communities that we serve. But again, I would also mention, and I think Federico said it beautifully, it's a ticket to entry, but it's not the winning ticket right away. There is multiple steps put past certification to hopefully get, ingrained and onboarded into a corporate supply chain as a key vendor and a key partner. Much of that is also a practice in patience and fortitude to ensure that you're continuing to reach out and build relationships time and time again. It starts off with getting certified, and then hopefully, creating a profile on a key corporate website like ours with JPMorgan Chase. And you can go on our supplier diversity page and create a profile of your diverse firm that kind of lists the key capabilities and skill sets and offerings that your business offers, the regions where you play, the size and scope and scale of your company, what you're looking to grow for. Those are all helpful for us as we kind of create an internal business card of your vendors and your business, so we can help shop around and see if there's a good fit for opportunities. And it also has to be a company that, are you selling what we typically buy? And is it a moment in time where we need to buy and procure those goods and services from you as a vendor? We have about 7 to 9 major categories in which the bank typically has the most opportunities for addressable spend, where we can bring on additional third-party vendors to help support our own work in the bank. That covers areas from technology to marketing, printing and communication services, general facilities management, security. We have a huge branch network. Much of that is tied to general contracting and building and security, and even different professional services, whether it's legal or tax and audit. These are some of the categories in which we know we typically look to have more vendors to source for RFPs and key needs. So it's also knowing, is the customer that you're looking to work with a good match for you and your business and the products and services that you provide. And so again, all of that ties into kind of the journey to growing your customer base with a corporate client like Chase. We are a very large scale financial institution. And so we do come with multiple different steps to take to get onboarded and to really be successful with us. But that's why we have programs within our supplier diversity team that helps create that onboarding process, hopefully a little less cumbersome and more successful for you as a potential vendor with us.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I want to maybe just, for those that are aspiring to do business with JPMorgan, let's just fast forward. Assume that they're certified, they're registered on your portal, they've perhaps met you. What is the next step for them? What is the best way to think about how they might get access to RFPs, or is there preliminary steps before they might be able to see any RFPs? If you could talk to, to someone's position that is already certified and already registered on the portal.
Yeah, so I would say, again, it's really about the relationship building, hopefully with advocates and internal champions from our supplier diversity team within Chase or other key partnerships that you might have within the firm. We typically don't publicize RFPs, across different categories and services, unless we are pretty far along in terms of inviting folks to apply for a bid. But it's also getting to have a good set of relationships, not just with a supplier diversity champion, not just with even your banker, if you happen to be a Chase client on a banking side. It's really getting a chance for as many of the key touch points you'll have with a client and a customer within your business. And so it could be a category manager that goes directly within the area of business that you're focused on. It could be a key spend leader who is actually making the decisions connected to the CFO team and the budgeting team. There's multiple doorways in, and so you shouldn't just only focus on one pathway and one point of contact. There's many different ways that you can continue to hopefully, share the great work that your customer or your business is doing. That could be a great opportunity for you to be a client of ours, and we can become one of your customers. And then I think too, knowing also a good sense of, are you prepared and ready to take on business as a JPMorgan Chase client? We have many programs that help support key diverse businesses with issues around cybersecurity and risk and bond and regulation. We are a very highly regulated industry. And so taking on certain types of contracts that are highly sensitive in nature and need a lot more insurance and support and resources to kind of cover that type of work is a big step in readiness for a business. Are you shored up in the areas of capital and other resources and staffing support that you might need? So thinking of and having all of those pieces in line as you're working to kind of continue to build relationships and hopefully have more next conversations to pitch your business and go deeper into a potential RFP or bid is always good to make sure that you're prepared and ready to go. So that helps to, expedite the process overall. And then again, just kind of keep as much continued conversation and you have your business name and your business impact at the forefront. We want to have a good story to share about the work you're doing. Federico talked about some of the key community impact programs that Mas Global leads. So it's not just, are they the best vendor with the best price and best product, but what are they doing that's also impacting their community as a business owner and a business contributor in their space, because that will help you stand apart from many different organizations that are looking to hopefully gain business and have a contract with a key corporate client. So I would think making sure that you're prepared on all those areas is always a great set of next steps, because again, we know this is a pathway to a contract can often be a time-taking pathway, and it's good to have endurance and patience and persistence along that way.
Yes, pathway, investment of time and strategy and relationship building, absolutely. You mentioned many different things that I think will tie in nicely to Brendan. So if we could go to you, Brendan, you are a senior business consultant. What does that mean, and why is that relevant to today's audience?
Well, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you for having us on the panel today. Basically, what that means is we are a resource and a partner to walk with you through the steps of entrepreneurship and small business ownership, helping you to grow capacity in your business. When you need questions answered, when you need some support, access to capital, suggestions on trusted advisors, operations and processes and procedures. My role within the firm is basically just to be that person that will walk you through the process. If you're unfamiliar with some aspects of the bank and how to navigate and who to speak to, I'm typically that point person that you can speak with who can, point you in the right direction. And then, our process is really just to sit down with you and identify your pain points specifically, to make sure we're addressing all of your needs. So as a consultant, we don't profess to know everything, but we know who to speak to bring to the table. So, Tracy is an expert and is the go-to person with supplier diversity in my channel. And I would speak to her about, any of the questions that a client may have on how to get plugged into our portal and what are those steps to take if they are not able to get to Tracy directly or, some other way. So that's really what I am. I'm the boots on the ground. Typically we're in about 22 markets here in the United States, including California. But we can serve anywhere remotely with the power of Zoom and Microsoft Teams. We can really help you wherever you are.
So I have some immediate questions that are going through my mind that I imagine is in the mind of our audience as well. Do you have to be a client of Chase, a banking client with Chase, to access your team, you and your team, Brendan? And is there any qualification that a company might need to meet to access the resources that you and your team provide?
Well, Jennifer, that's what makes JPMorgan Chase so awesome. No, you do not have to be specifically a bank client. Now, of course, after you start working with us, you'll want to throw us your money. But in the beginning, we can work with you, regardless of if you're a bank client or not. There is a link that will be shared where you can go in and input your information, and that will be routed to one of our 42 business consultants across the nation. And we will get back to you and start working on, what your problem areas are. The beautiful thing is everyone is not going to be bankable when we first start talking to you. So one of the benefits of this role is to be familiar with all of the different relationships in the community, in our regions. There are what's called CDFIs, which are community development financial institutions that are nonprofit lenders that JPMorgan Chase actually invests in. And what they do is they focus on businesses that may not be bank ready for loans and lines of credit. So it's kind of like a stepping stone. So we do work with them. We can talk you through situations of venture capitalists and equity partnerships. We can really just kind of hold your hand through any of those processes.
That's fantastic. And the link is in the chat now for those of you that are interested. I want to just reiterate, Brendan, there is no size minimum or maximum for your team. Is that correct?
That is correct. Well, there is a minimum. We like to have you be in business for at least 2 years and revenue in at least $100,000 a year. There is no maximum. But even if you do not, if you haven't been in business for 2 years or you don't have $100,000 a year, you can still go to that same link, and there's a resource center where you can click in and download business plan templates, cash flow analysis templates, YouTube videos about the different questions you may have. And if you still need more help, we have connections to other resources in our local communities. There's tons of nonprofits that we work with that have entrepreneurship centers that have one-on-one consultants as well that we refer you to. We're not here just to drop you off. We still want to work with you in some capacity. When you start to grow and you get over 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, we connect you directly with our commercial bank and our commercial lenders, not to say we're going to drop you off, but we're going to connect you to the right resources to really maximize the services that we're able to provide as an institution. The whole point is to really usher you through your growth. We each have different problems at different stages of our business. So don't think for one instance that you have a problem that's so unique that there's not an answer or at least a path forward to overcome it. And typically our consultants have seen a lot, but we network and we partner with a lot of other resources that can help you navigate through these issues. So minimal 2 years, $100,000 a year in revenue. But if you're not there, still reach out to us and we will still help you and point you in the right direction.
So again, I just want to reiterate, if you are in the process thinking, curious about learning more about the certification, Brendan's team is a tremendous resource that can walk you through it, point you in the right direction, make introductions to either other organizations externally or individuals within Chase as well. I'm going to go back to some questions. I know that we have a few questions already, and I would welcome you if you still have outstanding questions, please put those in the chat. But Shalana, I want to come back to you. There's some questions about the certification longevity. How long does a certification last? And do you have to renew? And if so, how frequently?
Yes, so currently the certification you will have to renew annually. The recertification process, however, is nothing like the initial certification process. You'll simply just do the recertification application online. Your information is already pre-populated from your certification in your company's profile. So you're not having to technically redo another application. You're just kind of filtering through to make sure the information is still valid and correct. And then you'll just provide us with a year of company tax returns, and that's it. So you will have to renew annually, but like I said, the process is much simpler than the initial certification process.
Okay, and Shalana, earlier you mentioned a lot of benefits with being certified through NMSDC, different programs that you offer. Are those programs available to everyone or only those that are certified?
So those programs are actually just available for the certified MBEs through the regional councils.
And is there an additional fee or cost structure to that, or are they complimentary once you're certified?
So most of the programs and stuff are complimentary, but there may be some additional events or specific programs that they may host that may have a fee attached. But there will be some general business development programs and tools that are available just as a certified MBE to that regional council.
Great. All right, folks, we have an all-star team on the screen, so make sure you get your questions answered today. Feel free to put those in the chat. Tracy, there's a question here about, is minority certification beneficial and helpful in all industries or only select industries?
So again, I would say this is really an opportunity to tell more of the story of your business. If this is an area where you feel that you can really showcase as much more information that will help differentiate you as a key vendor in a particular space or sector, it will be beneficial for all those who are looking to work with key different businesses that have, you know, a unique point of differentiation across areas that their vendors are looking for. Again, I think depending on the types of customer, and I know Shalena spoke to it and also Federico spoke to it, there's various different certifications that can help with more procurement opportunities in a particular industry or sector or space, whether that's local and government, regional, or again, at the corporate level with some of the key national certifying organizations such as NMSDC. But overall, this is just another element to kind of tell the story of what your business is really, your business model, your business founder story, your business ethos, values, core impact, and how that can help differentiate you in a marketplace with many other competitors that may not have the key advantages that you have. And so this, I think, is just really a way to help kind of differentiate you in telling your story of your business and hopefully putting the best foot forward to hopefully get more contracts and hopefully more customers and clients added to your roster.
May I, Jennifer?
Yes, please do.
I think that more than by industry, the high correlation is with those companies that have developed a sense of strategy around sustainability. And typically, the larger the companies, the more aligned with sustainability goals. So we personally have extraordinary examples beyond the financial services in the industrial world, for instance.
Thank you for sharing that. Here's a question that I think maybe I'll leave this open and see who wants to answer this. It might be applicable to all of you to some degree. The question is, how do we know, can you get a sneak peek about the potential opportunities of being certified before actually becoming certified? So this might be someone who's sitting on the fence and not really knowing if certification is the right strategy and approach for them. Federico, maybe you could speak to this. Shalena, Tracy, I think maybe you can all speak to this. How would they get some insight onto some supplier opportunities before actually going through the process of becoming certified?
That's an extraordinary question. Let me reinforce that. If you think that your business is material of corporate consumption, that we are to play in those leagues, certifications and all your work after the certification will help you. You'll find tons of business. So maybe not in client A or client B, but for sure in client C, D, and Z. So I think that you cannot think your business as a diverse in terms of ownership business. You have to create your business as the diversity will reinforce your value proposition. During the last years, we are seeing more and more ways around sustainability in the decision criteria of the procurement department. So if you can qualify better in the sustainability area and being a diverse business will increase your rating there, you'll have more chances. If you do not have a business robust enough to aspire to those businesses, probably will not be the certification that will help you along.
You know, and let me also say, it's better to have than not to have. I've run into so many businesses where they have an opportunity to get on a contract where the company is trying to fulfill their minority spend, and they don't they don't have their certification. So now they're scrambling at the last minute trying to get certified to get onto this contract, right? And maybe before they didn't think that they would have this opportunity come up. But why not have it and not need it, as opposed to, you know, the other way around? And let me just say this, it's worth the process. It's worth going through the process. You know, Shalana can talk to the time and the energy that you put into getting the certification. And yes, the recertification process is a whole lot easier. But once you have it, you're just putting yourself in a great position for when the opportunity arises, you can pounce on it. And there's a process, because it's not just for private corporations when you're certified, but when you're going into the federal space. Learning how to go to the pre-bid meetings and learning about details about different RFPs or RFQs that are coming out. And then when you go to these pre-bid meetings, you're seeing who else is in the room. And some of these other corporations probably have a lot more experience and have won contracts, before. Well, guess what? This is an opportunity for you to be a subcontractor on one of their contracts, right? So you can learn the system, you can get into the game, and show them who you are, so that one day you can eventually bid to be a prime contractor yourself. It is a process. I heard someone say, don't expect to get certified and instantly get business, right? It's going to take time. Once you have the certification, you still have to do the work of networking and making calls and showing up and, being in the right place. So it's definitely a process, but it's better to have regardless than not to have.
Yeah, I would just echo all of those areas of guidance, and also saying, once you become a certified business, you're also growing your network of other certified businesses and other key communities that will have key events or matchmaking opportunities, or again, growing the opportunity field for you to hopefully search for new ways to get your business ingrained in kind of key contract opportunities. And so again, this is just another key to another set of doors that you can hopefully open. But once you're in the door, there's still the work that you need to do to kind of work the room, get the right types of key organizations and contacts you can. And so having that certification, it's a key to a very exclusive club of amazing key diverse business owners that you can have great benefit engaging with, that if you don't have that key, you might feel a little out of the exclusive club. And so that really is a harder way to kind of get access to better opportunities and hopefully learn more about ways you can connect with other different vendors in your space and your sector and customers that you're hoping to hopefully reach out to.
Great, well said. I see one more question in the chat, and this might be our last one unless anybody else pops in a final question. But Shalana, this is for you. Cost of recertification, is that the same as the initial cost, or is it different?
So the cost of recertification may differ depending on the regional council. Some regional councils do have a lower recertification fee rate, but keep in mind that the fee structure is on a sliding scale. So say, for example, if the first year of certification, you were in that bracket of the 0 to 1 million in sales, and you had a great year and now sales are 5 million. That recertification fee may be more than what that initial fee was, because you went from one class up to the next class. So in general, recertification fees may be less, but I just have to say, keep in mind, if you do move up in class due to your revenue size, that fee could increase.
Great. And then the last question that I have here is, do you have to also become a member of NMSDC on a national level, or is certification your member ticket?
Yes, certification is your ticket to being a certified firm through NMSDC. So there's no need to apply the regional level and then there's a separate certification. Your certificate will say National Minority Supplier Development Council, and then it will just also say the regional council that you're affiliated with.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, thank you all, Shalena, Federico, Tracy, Brendan. I applaud the insight in the education that you were able to bring, the opportunities that you were able to share. All of you, would you join me in expressing your appreciation to this panel? Thank you very much. I believe what we shared today, what we discussed today was insightful and informative for our audience. So at this point, I want to ask all of you for your feedback, and we're going to put a survey in the chat. If you could take just a brief moment, give us your feedback so that we understand how we can serve you and serve you better. And secondly, just a few announcements from the LBAN team. We have launched our podcast. It is our way of telling the Latino story, the entrepreneur story. We invite you to subscribe, to download, to listen in. This is a fantastic way to learn from and become inspired by other Latino-owned businesses and their journey to scale. So that link is in the chat. If you share that and listen in, we would much appreciate that. And then my last closing announcement here is, as I mentioned, LBAN really kicks off a lot of the work we do through research. We survey over 10,000 business owners every year because we want to understand the operating environment, the climate that you're working in. Our signature research event is scheduled for February 16th. So I put that on your calendar now. Save the date. This will be an in-person event at Stanford University. We will bring together over 500 business leaders from across the country to talk about entrepreneurship and some of the challenges and opportunities that Latino businesses face. That's an event you don't want to miss. So put that on your calendar. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, JPMorgan, for your support of this webinar. Thank you, Shalena and NMSDC.